Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy David from the Free Play Mode, and I'm here with lesson number 3 on how to play Fire Pro Wrestling World for the PC and PlayStation 4 video game console. As you can see on the screen, I have an Xbox One controller representation to show you how to do the moves as I am doing them, but do not worry if you are playing on the PlayStation 4 or using a PlayStation 4 controller while playing on the PC. The controls are universal, so you should be able to transpose the Xbox One buttons and commands with the PlayStation 4 controls and commands. So with that said, I'm going to teach you how to grapple from the front. In this game, grappling is pretty simple. It is timing based. It's simple in its execution but hard to master in its timing. So the first thing you want to do is before you get into a match, or even when you get into a match, press the pause button by pressing start or the menu button on the Xbox One controller if you're playing on a PlayStation or PC, and go into your moves list, because your character has a very extensive list of moves, and for the sake of this demo I am using Hiroshi Tanahashi. And as you can see, as I'm scrolling through the moves here, some moves have an S icon by them while others may have an F by them, and that ties into your signature and finisher moves, because I've been getting a lot of questions on how do you do finisher moves, how do you do special moves. Well, unlike WWE 2K games, there's no special way to do signature or finisher moves. It's all dependent on what the move is mapped to. And what I mean by that is when the character is created, you can assign an S for signature or F next to a move, designating it as your finishing maneuver. And you can have up to 4 signature moves and 1 finishing maneuver. All that means in the context of Fire Pro Wrestling World is that the move does more damage than your standard moves. I think it's 1.5 times the damage for signature moves and 2 times the damage for finishing moves. And the added attribute tacked on top of a finishing move is that it has the ability to critical. And what that means is that the move can effectively stop a match. If you get criticaled, there's no continuing the match. The referee immediately calls it and your opponent wins, or you win by KO or by immediate submission, because that's how powerful the move is within the context of this game. So in this video we're going to focus on front grappling, and as you can see here, you do have a wide variety of options when you front grapple. Light, medium, and heavy front grapples in total mean you have access to 13 total moves. So we are going to show you how to use those moves effectively, starting with light grapple. But first, how to initiate grappling is very simple. All you do is just simply walk in to your opponent and the grapple is immediately initiated. So, as I was saying, it's timing based as well, in that you have to time when you do your moves, and that timing is based off of 2 things. It can be an audio cue or it can be a visual cue. So we're going to start with the visual cue first. And what that visual cue is when the character immediately stomps his foot from the lockup, is when you are going to enter your command. So watch as I initiate the grapple, and as soon as my character stomps his foot and initiates the grapple, you'll see my command on the controller. It's very easy to spot this, and the way I time it is usually when the character stomps his foot. That is when you enter your command. You have to be very quick about it, because you have to get the input in before your opponent does or before the CPU does, because if the CPU gets in the command first or your opponent, that means your opponent's going to do the move no matter who initiated the grapple. The second cue is audio, and what I mean by that is the sound the character makes when the grapple is initiated. So listen for the audio cue as I go ahead and initiate the grapple and then do the move. Now, if you heard it correctly, what it sounds like is when the characters lock up and grapple, you'll hear a stomping noise followed briefly by the sound of the characters clasping together when they lock up. That is your cue to input your command to do the moves. So we're going to go with some brief explanations on what you can do when you were locked up. And the first button, like striking, is the X button, and that is your light grapple moves. In light grappling from the front, you do have access to 4 maneuvers. You have X by itself, well, let me try that again. You have X by itself, you have up in X, you have left or right in X, and you have down in X. And keep in mind, these moves are not universal. It's all dependent on what character you use. So every character, doesn't matter if it's a preset or an edit that someone else made, will have different moves in each of those situations. Next, we're going to move to the A button, which is your medium grapple button. And again, you have access to 4 separate grappling attacks from the medium grapple position. But what makes this unique, just like striking, is that if you make a character, you can also assign light grapples to your medium attack button. So we're going to do A by itself, up in A, left and right in A, and down in A. Well, I got it reversed, but you get the idea. Down in A. Now we're gonna move to our heavy attacks, and heavy attacks are just like your medium and light attacks, with the added caveat that you can add medium and light attacks into your heavy grapple situation. And what makes the heavy attacks so unique is that instead of 4 attacks, you have access to 5 attacks. So we're gonna do B by itself, we're going to do down and B. Got reversed there. But let's try that again. We're going to do down and B. We're going to do left, right, and B. We're going to do up and B. And just like attacking for striking, you're going to do X and A and at the same time. And that's going to be your last heavy grapple attack. So in order to pick up an opponent off the ground when they're face up, let's bring them out here. When an opponent is face up and you knock them down, to pick them up, you just stand by their head and press the X button, and that picks them up. When they're face down, let's roll them. You have to stand by their waist and press X to pick them up, and that picks them up. And 2 other things you can do while grappling is you can put them in a forward headlock, and that allows you to move around the ring with them and position them where you want to. And to do an elbow or a kick or a knee, depending on what kind of character it is, you just press any button. And to initiate the forward headlock, you press R1. And to throw them to the ropes, you grapple and you press Y. Now, throwing them to the ropes is totally dependent on where you are in the ring, because if you are on the central line of the ring, you will throw them into the ring post. Or if you were closer to the ropes near the bottom, you will also throw them into the ring post. But anywhere else in the ring, you will simply throw them to the ropes. And you need to select the direction on which you want to throw your opponent to the ropes. I hope that explains front grappling. I hope you look forward to episode 4, which I'll explain rear grappling. And this is David from the Free Play Mode signing off, hoping you have a good evening.